Hi guys, welcome to the start of Darren's Maths Corner, and what we're going to be looking at this time is the official start. What way to start than to look at applying BIDMAS. So what we've got there, what I've got up here at this point is we've got the rules of BIDMAS and how the order you should tackle these. If you've got mixed equations, you've got the list there as to how you should tackle each of them. So what we'll do is, if I switch over here for now, put you over here. Whoops. Put you over here for now. And then that way, get an idea as to what's going on. So I've got 5 numbers here. I was going to do 10. But I've then decided just to do the 5, and then I'll be able to show you what to do, particularly when it comes to something like, say for example, if I do this, that would be, so that's what you've got here. So first off, because we've got no brackets, we've got no indices, you would then do this bit first. Bear with me one moment, my black's running out. I've got some more board markers. I need to remind myself, put that one in the bin. Anyway, as I was saying, we've got then this first. So we do 3 times 4 first, because you do multiplying and dividing left to right, regardless of where they are, which order they appear, because they both have equal priority. And then 12 divided by 5 would be the following. Trust me to turn that into a fraction. So then I'll just make that then. Let's convert that into a decimal. So now you are left with 1 plus 2 minus 2.4. And your answer there would be 0.6. Because you've got that first, which is 3. And then you do that afterwards. And that's what you're left with. Another thing that you might want to look into at this point, let me just wipe these off because I'm going to swap the order around, and I'm going to experiment with some BIDMAS as well. I'm just going to put the answers up of each sum that I did with those 5 numbers. And then let's see what would happen if you then swap them all about. But let's see, so we'll do that, that, and then that. And the next thing we want to look at is, well, the first thing we need to do is get the multiplication done. Which is 2. Obviously 1 to 2 is 2. And then we'll do the dividing first. We've done the multiplication first. Then we'll do the dividing. like that. Or if you want to write it in fraction form, you can. And then you've got your 2 plus 3, which equals 5. And then 5 minus that gives you that. It's an interesting way to experiment with just 5 numbers, and you get many different results with just those 5 numbers. But did you know also, let me just wipe those numbers off, did you know that you could also do fractions with, you can do BIDMAS with fractions? Let me just demonstrate that. So I'll go, not going to use 1 this time. So I'm not going to use 1 this time because it would be absolutely pointless. Because the answer would just be literally the same. We'll jumble them up as well. And then we go with that. We'll go with the flow, just improvise with some numbers. And then what we'll do, I've just dropped a pen. We will do the following. Well, so far I've been doing everything from left to right because of how I placed the sums, but I say everything. So this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this side first. So we do 4/5 over 7/6, which then will give you the following. Remembering with a fraction, when you're multiplying a fraction, you're just multiplying across. So that would be 20 and that would be 42. We'll simplify that down as well because you're able to do that. Not by much, mind you. But you can. And then with that in mind, we've then got that to work out. So I'll do 2/3. Now we're minusing 10 over 21. Now remember, what you do then at this point is you multiply those together and then you do the following. You multiply that by 21 and then you multiply this bit by 3. Which then gives you that as your answer. And you can simplify it as well. So we've got 12 over 63, we'll do 3. I tell you what, I just had the thought, I could have just gotten away just multiplying that bit by the 7. I could have got away even by just multiplying that bit by 7. So let's try that again, because they're a common multiple factor. So we want 2/3 minus 10 over 21. Now if we multiply this bit by 7, you then get 14 over 21. If only I'd have thought about that. So then we do that minus that, and therefore it will leave you with that. That would have made your life much easier if you did the second route and end up not doing what I did originally. Just remember 4 over 21. That's quite a big looking fraction. Let's do that again. There we go, that's much better. Now the next thing we want to look at is applying of the next ones. So we want something where where everything's involved. So let's go back to my usual 1 to 5. And then I'm going to bring out a different colour. Try not to lose my pen again. Let's do some different colours, just to spice things up a bit. So we'll do the following. Let's now go for, let's put that there. Do that. And then I'm going to chuck in some brackets around. Let's see, where am I going to dot the brackets here? And then I'm going to let's make this square. And then I think what we'll do at this point is, to make things even more interesting, I ought to make this one a factorial. And now this is where the fun bit starts. So we've got then, so now we have a 4 factorial which I've placed inside the brackets. The next one I'm going to do, I'm going to place it outside of it, outside the brackets. So we do that's an indis, which incidentally enough is placed inside the brackets, so you'd have to do that first anyway. 1, so we do your factorial first. Up to 4. That's 2. Obviously that is 6. And that is 24. So we then have 24 plus 5, to which then that then becomes 29. We're going to end up with a minus number this time. But by how much I don't know. Then we do the indis after that. The indis that's outside the brackets. So then that'd be this one. 2 squared is 4. And then we've got the following. So I think we're going to need another fraction with this. Let me just make that a 4, because I've just worked that out. So yeah, so again, let's make that a 4. And then we have 1 divided by 4 times 3 which then in this case what we'll have to do then is we need to convert that 3, because I've done it in fractions. We need to, you know what, I'm just going to do this. Swap it back to my other black. And then you do that, which is, I think this will work much better. Times that by 3, which gives you that. And then you subtract the 29 from that. Now, interestingly enough, I'm just going to reverse that sum around, because that might be a better idea to do that. And then that will give you that. Just remember when you do the sum itself, to put the minus in, put the minus sum in front of it. And all will be well. Let's now wipe that off, and I'll do one more, because I've done 4 so far. Let's make it 5, and then I'll just quickly chuck in 5 different numbers, other than going in a sequence from 1 to 5. So we'll put a 6 here, and a 7. We'll put in a 5. See where this is, you will see where this is going. And we'll have a 9. We'll put in a 9. And then we'll put in an 8. Now let's do the operands first, which are those ones. I'm just going to pop these in no particular order. Let's do a plus here. We'll do a times here. And then we'll do the divide there. Yeah, we'll need to do another fraction there. And then I'll do a subtract there. I think we may end up with another minus. We'll have to find out. We'll make this one, so we might. Even better idea. You know what? Why not go a little bit more crazy and I'll swap that for a 4. Now I'll swap that for a 4. And then I'll put in some brackets. Where am I going to dot the brackets? I'm actually going to dot the brackets here. Well, I did say that I was going to do that without. I'll do the index outside of the bracket. So let's put the 4 here. And then we'll pop the 8. We'll pop a factorial. You know what? I've had an even better idea. Let's add bear with me a moment. Let's add in a root as well. Perhaps if I use the right number. Ah! Dropping colour. I'm dropping pens again. And then I would place my factorial. Where am I going to place the factorial? Here. Well, that's going to be fun because we're immediately going to be doing try again. That's going to be interesting because immediately we're going to be doing 6 factorial times 7 to the power of 4. Oh, this is going to be fun. So let's start. Well, first off, we've got to start with what's inside the bracket. So that'll be that. So that'll be minus 4. This is where the fun bit's going to start. And just for the record, the plus and a minus make a minus. Now we do the factorial. So 6 factorial, we're doing the indices next. Let's start with the 6 factorial, which is 720. Wish me luck. So 7 times 4, 7, so you can multiply by 7 4 times. So that's 49. 343. 343 times 7. 21. 28 plus 2. 28 plus 2. 21 plus 3. I'm going to have to double check to make sure that is right. Bear me on just a second. So we want to work out 343 times 7. That is right. Yeah, it's not often you see me use a calculator, but here comes the fun part. Now I'll write that in. And then divide that by 2. Because that's the cube root of 8. Now, this is going to be the fun part. 720 times 2,401. Wish me luck, guys, as I try and solve it. I think I'm going to need my calculator after this one, just to make sure that it's right. Well, that is just going to be 720. And there's 2 noughts there because everything multiplied by 0 is obviously going to be 0. So we then skip to this, the third one, which is the 4. That's obviously going to be 0. Let me put that in the right place. So that's obviously going to be 0. And 8. And 28. And then we go for, oh, hang on a moment, I missed out all, no, I haven't, that and that. Okay, panic over, that's obviously going to be 0. And we then got 8, no, we've got 4 and 14. And then add straight down. 12, that's 8. That's 12. 6 plus 1. 1 plus, yes, there's 1. Now, if that, what I've done here, is the right, if that's correct, I will be pleasantly surprised. There's only one way to find out. So that's the answer I wrote up on the board. And that's the answer that's showing up on the calculator. I'm absolutely spot on. I had to use a calculator just to double check. And then what you do is I'm just going to put that down. Just before I do that, so it's and then what we do now is we then simplify that down to just a 2, and it's either going to be, because it's the plus, a plus and a minus makes a minus, so I'm assuming then it's going to be the following. So I'm going to be there. So plus and a minus make a minus. So I think that's what the answer is. Let me double check. I just need to double check something. 172828. No. I'm right. That again, that's the answer I've written down. So there's the answer I've written down. And that's the answer that's showing on my calculator. So I shall quickly write that up. And there we go. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.